Some moments lately, it might feel like the noise around us is just a little too much to carry. This is 10 Better Minutes, a place to gently shift focus for a short while. Each episode shares a few recent real stories that quietly remind us the world is more balanced than the headlines suggest. I am Ian Rhodes, your host, and I appreciate you taking a moment here today. We will hear about people stepping in to help when it matters most, and about the small ways nature is finding its way back through fresh eyes. But first, I want to start with a story about a teacher who chose to become family when a child truly needed one. In Bentonville, Arkansas, Lexi McClellan met Mary when Mary was 7 at Elm Tree Elementary. Mary had this quiet, determined creativity, and she wanted her classroom to work for her and for everyone else. One of the sweetest details was how she designed a trolley system to deliver library books across the room, like she was building her own little world of possibility. That connection mattered because Mary had been moving through foster care and was expecting adoption by another family. Then, after the school year ended, the plans fell through, and Mary suddenly faced the familiar question of where she would belong next. Lexi carried that uncertainty with her, and she did not let it stay only in thought. She told her husband Max that if Mary needed a home, she was coming to their house. Weeks later, they stepped forward, welcoming Mary into their family. By Christmas Eve in 2021, they prepared a handwritten note in a Bunny children's book asking Mary to officially become part of their family. Then, on April 7th, 2022, the adoption became official in an emotional courtroom ceremony, with Mary tapping the judge's gavel herself. And the story kept moving forward in the real, everyday ways that matter. Mary later thrived as a 12-year-old middle school student and became a big sister too when the family welcomed a baby boy named Murphy. It is one of those hopeful reminders that when someone says, "We are here," it can change everything. You ever see someone pulled over on the side of the road and wonder what you would do next? This is the kind of moment where a few ordinary choices turned into something truly life-changing. It started with a flat tire near South Flamingo Road in Cooper City, Florida on April 19th. Diego Fernandez Delgado, a 65-year-old man, was stranded there with a dead phone battery and started to feel severe chest pain and difficulty breathing. Alone on the roadside, he was doing his best to get through it, but he needed help. That is when 3 Cooper City high school students walked over. Logan Royer and Cody McGrone were 16, and Brody Murray was 17. They did the practical thing first, helping change the tire. And then, noticing how weak Diego was and how hard it seemed for him to breathe, they did the next right thing. Logan called emergency services while the others stayed close, keeping him company and offering steady reassurance until paramedics arrived. After Diego was taken to Memorial Hospital West and later released to recover at home, the story did not end there. Cooper City officials invited the teens to City Hall, where they received a proclamation and even a standing ovation. What I love most is how this reads like a reminder. Kindness does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is just walking over, staying present, and making one careful call when it matters. There is something quietly energizing about seeing a student turn a real scientific problem into something practical and testable. And that is exactly what this story brings to mind. Ira Sathish, an 18-year-old Irish student, created Purge, a plant-based biodegradable plastic designed to help remove microplastics from the environment. Instead of treating waste as an inevitable dead end, she built a material that releases enzymes as it breaks down, drawing from earlier research into water quality. Her work was recognized when she won the 2026 European Earth Prize, taking home $12,500 meant to help her move from concept toward real-world use. What I love most is how forward-looking it feels. The prize is not the finish line, it is the next step. Ira is already planning to scale up Purge for products like compost bags and packaging, where everyday items become part of a more thoughtful loop. Microplastics in soil and water are complicated, and no single invention magically solves everything. Still, this is the kind of progress that restores belief in options. When young inventors use science to design materials that behave differently, they give communities a new pathway to try, and that is a hopeful reminder that thoughtful solutions can start small, earn support, and keep growing. Sometimes life nudges you, not with perfect timing, but with a clear invitation to keep moving toward the dreams you have been postponing. This is one of those stories where a health scare became the turning point that made medical school feel possible again. After the brain hemorrhage, Dawn Zuidgeest Kraft took a steady, practical step forward. Her husband, Carl Kraft, nearly died, and the couple quietly revisited their bucket list and their priorities. Dawn had spent years as a nurse practitioner and educator, watching her own medical dream sit just out of reach while family responsibilities came first. Then she used her retirement savings to fund tuition for St. James School of Medicine in Anguilla, and she leaned into the work as if she had always been meant to do it. When her first year brought a difficult biochemistry exam and she did not pass, she did not quit. Carl's support and the encouragement of classmates helped her keep going, whether that meant dorm life routines, movie nights, or yoga on the beach. She continued through clinical rotations in Chicago and West Virginia, then later spent time in South Texas, gathering experience one patient day at a time. This is the part that feels genuinely uplifting to me. Dawn graduated as the oldest ever at age 72, and she is preparing to begin residency at Trinity Health Medical Center in Muskegon, Michigan this year. It reminds me that perseverance does not always look like bold reinvention. Sometimes it looks like choosing again and again to show up. Sometimes it is easy to think big environmental goals belong to experts and official meetings. This story reminds us they can also start with a classroom and a pair of watchful eyes. Last year, 4th grade science teacher Sarah Stinson introduced her students to Jackie and Shadow, a mating pair of bald eagles in Big Bear Valley, California. Friends of Big Bear Valley set up a 24-hour, 7-day live webcam so the class could monitor the eagles and their 2 chicks right from their desks. It was not just a lesson about birds, it was a relationship, one they could check on whenever they wanted, with the quiet sense that something alive was unfolding in real time. But the habitat matters beyond observation. The last undeveloped shoreline of Big Bear Lake could be converted into luxury housing development, and that creates urgency for the land protection work already underway. A wildlife trust and the San Bernardino Mountains Land Trust are working toward a $10 million purchase, with a limited purchase option agreement that runs until the end of July. Together, Sarah shared the stakes with her class, and the students chose to act. They organized fundraising and awareness through lemonade stands and posting flyers at local businesses, supporting the Friends of Big Bear Valley and the San Bernardino Mountains Land Trust. By the time the story reached its update, the groups had raised around a quarter of the total goal. The steady part is what stands out. Their next plans are still in motion, and the act of caring, measured in small hands and repeated effort, keeps the project moving forward. As always, I've got a wonderful tip for you to help with your mental reset and find a little more steadiness in the world again. Today, we are talking about creating a balanced input list you can come back to when everything feels heavy. Here's the idea. Pick a handful of things you can reliably return to, not because they magically fix everything, but because they help your mind feel held. Start with one category for comfort, like a calming show you have seen before or a familiar audiobook. Add one category for something that feeds connection, even if it is small, like a short message from a friend, a phone call reminder, or a favorite podcast episode where someone feels real. Include one category for body support, such as a guided breathing track, a stretch routine, or a playlist you associate with movement. Then add one category for perspective, like a short news check with a clear time limit, a meaningful essay, or a spiritual practice that does not demand perfection. Now make it returnable. Write it down somewhere easy to find, and keep it simple enough that you could use it on your worst day. When you feel overloaded, choose one item, do it for a few minutes, and let that be enough for now. Well, that is the end of this episode, friends, and I just want to say thank you for listening all the way through. If today has felt heavy or loud, I hope these 10 better minutes left you with something steadier than headlines. Not a fantasy, not blind optimism, just the quieter truth that decency and care keep showing up, sometimes in ordinary ways, and sometimes in ways worth paying attention to. This is Ian Rhodes with 10 Better Minutes. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow.